So here we go. Let's listen to this report on what Queensland Police Commissioner and the Queensland Police Minister, their harebrained scheme. And this, like I've said before, I think I've said it here. This seems to be a bit of an epidemic in leadership worldwide. Is they make these decisions and completely screw something up. The federal government has completely screwed up the economy by just throwing money away, just giving it away. Hey, look at all this. Let's just give it all away. And then both sides, the Labor sits there going, well, we're in $1 trillion debt. Yeah. But you were right behind it. You were all for it. When it comes to just handing money out, man, you are right there with the shovel, shoveling it out. And then you get into power and you're like, we inherited $1 trillion debt. What are we going to do? Raise the taxes. We caused the problem. This is the issue around the world. They cause the problem and then they offer up some harebrained design to fix the problem that they caused. Queensland Commissioner, Queensland Police Commissioner, Queensland Police Minister, they caused this problem. They are the problem. Queensland leadership team are the problem. There are so many issues within the Queensland Police leadership team. And they caused the problem. They caused the problem by putting so many police offside. They caused the problem by showing the men and women on the ground, the police who do the actual work, that they don't care about them. The slogan, our people matter. Police out there, our people matter. You know very well, our people matter while you're a recruit. And maybe while you're in your first year, or just while they're trying to, make you feel all warm and fuzzy, our people don't matter. Okay, let's forget about it. We know that. The police commissioner gets on there. Like I said before, like she said before, she's done the math. She did the math. Well, your math's off, lady. Every month you have an intake number of people equivalent to an intake are leaving the job. Now, what is their solution? Remember, they made a promise to increase numbers by 2025, I believe it was. They are nowhere near hitting that target. Nowhere near it. We're over halfway there to that time frame. They are nowhere near it. And here's their solution. Clown number one, clown number two.
In a desperate attempt to reinforce Queensland's thinly stretched police force, 2,500 officers will be recruited from overseas. It comes amid Queensland's worsening youth crime crisis, brazen and violent attacks on innocent people filmed and posted online.
Ambushed in broad daylight, cornered in his own carport.
Oh, no keys.
Tony Jones thrown from his convertible.
Assaulted me and started attacking me with the hammer.
The teenage thugs pull off, posting and boasting online about attacking and robbing the 57-year-old.
Quite dramatic.
As gangs terrorise Tony's town of Toowoomba, police can't recruit officers fast enough.
We've never had this before.
The rate of police leaving
We've never had this before. That's because you're the police commissioner. No one wants to work with you or for you. There's so many issues. And you cannot see, but you did do the math, I suppose. You can't see the arrogance behind it. Anyway.
Has more than doubled, and more senior police are approaching the forced retirement age of 60.
In 82 for the Commonwealth Games and in 88 for World Expo, Queensland Police Service recruited heavily.
The solution, to look overseas.
Western Australia.
Yeah. Queensland Police recruited heavily because it was actually an honourable goal to be a police officer, to serve your community, to serve the community. That's what it was. That's what it was about when I joined up. You were supposed to be a servant of the community. How are you going to help the community? Now it's billed as being a thug. You see all these people. I won't even get into what's happened to me recently, but they're just thugs. The new breed come through. They want thugs. The police commissioner herself is just a bully. But she did the math. Anyway, here, listen to this clown. the police union. I can't even say his name.
Australia are doing the same thing as well, and New Zealand has the issues as well.
The government plans to recruit 500 officers each year for 5 years. Recruits won't need to be an Australian citizen or even a permanent resident to police our streets. They'll just need to pass Queensland's testing protocols.
They cause the problem and then they offer up a very bad plan to fix the problem that they caused. And like I said, who's paying for this? The taxpayer. The taxpayer. We're going to see, like we did just a couple of years ago when they decided that, hey, here's a good idea. We want 50-50. We want 50% females, 50% males. So instead of just looking for the best female officers that we could possibly find and, really advertising and trying to stir up the hearts and souls of all those great ladies out there that could be good police officers, because I've worked with some good lady police officers. But instead of chasing all the really intelligent, strong females out there that would make good police, all they decide to do is, no, let's lower the standards and get the below par ones. Let's go for just because we'll take the easy route, get the below par. Don't worry about all the intelligent females out there who are like, choosy, picky, and thinking, what career do I want to take? Do I want to take police? They seem a bit iffy. No, we'll just go we'll take the easy route, take the low-hanging fruit, and they get busted for it. Nothing happened. Nothing actually happened. Anyway, so this is the problem. Instead of fixing the problem, okay, and they go for the low-hanging fruit. We'll just get these officers from overseas, police with previous experience from overseas. If you read her report, clown number 2, the police commissioner, she said any country. So potentially you can have Russian police, Chinese police. Now, I've got nothing against Russians or Chinese people. Do we really want communist police officers? People with policing experience in the Communist Party coming over here? That is where? So what? Any country. If you're North Korean and you can get out of the country, yeah. Hey, you could be a good police officer for us. Is that what we're looking for? Is that what we're going to pay for?
The opposition accuses the Premier of failing to deliver on an election promise to find 1,400 new police.
More than halfway through this term, only 92 officers have been added.
Okay, so let's go through the actual media release that the police commissioner or the police actually did release. Okay, well, headline is Queensland lures international police talent under new agreement. Again, because they caused a problem, they failed miserably, and here's the pathetic solution. Minister for Police and Corrective Services and Minister for Fire and Emergency Services, the Honourable Mark Ryan. They need to stop using honourable when they're talking about politicians. This clown, it should be the clown number 1, Mark Ryan. Up to 500 new Queensland police will be recruited from overseas each year for 5 years. The reason why I'm reading this is because I want you to know, in case you haven't read it yourself or seen it, it's not just a headline. This is actually happening. It's what they actually plan on doing. As part of a new international recruitment campaign, the offer applies to current experienced serving of foreign police officers only, with all accepted international recruits to have comparable international policing experience before applying to the QPS. These successful recruits must undergo training once enrolled in order to ensure they meet the standards of the QPS before commencing on their first year as a sworn officer. The standards is that you have to be able to blindly follow along with the direction. You cannot question it, even if it's morally, ethically iffy. Just follow along anyway. And of course, you have to be vaccinated because that's the most important thing in the world. You get vaccinated against the thing that apparently. Anyway. Foreign nationals with sufficient policing experience will be eligible to apply to the QPS, Queensland Police Services, under a new labour agreement between the state and federal governments. Has approval for 500 new international recruits. So these quotes attributed to clown number one, Mark Ryan. This is a commitment from the Queensland government to bring international police talent to Queensland. This is a win-win. That's what he's telling us. It's a win-win. Don't question it. It's a win-win. It's an unprecedented opportunity for QPS to significantly expand the diversity of its workforce. He's got to use that phrase, the diversity. Like I said, cause the problem, but hey, it's all about diversity. Of course, Queensland needs former Chinese Communist Party police officers, former Russian police officers. Of course, Queensland needs more Nigerian police officers. I got nothing against Nigerians or anything, but yeah, that's what Queensland needs. Of course, Queensland needs, if you've got comparable policing experience, what about that police officer that killed that Australian woman in America? You know, she came down, she'd made a report about a disturbance. She's walking towards the police car. He pulls out the gun and shoots her through the window. Comparable? Yep. Why not? He could probably apply, probably be accepted. This is a win-win. Anyway, going on. This really is no better state to be a police officer. Okay. And this new labour agreement shows the joint dedication of the Queensland government and the QPS to remove barriers to experienced talent. Of course, let's forget the fact that they placed the barriers in place with the mandate. So we placed the barriers in place. We got rid of all these officers, good officers that we didn't need to get rid of, but simply because they didn't see the problem, they were dead set that they were going to move ahead with this no matter what. They put a lot of other officers offside, okay, by forcing them to do things. Really, a lot of officers just forced into this corner, knowing that they can't quit because you need to make money. You need to support your family. You need to make a livelihood. And so you go and get something. You go and get this stupid jab, which, by the way, anyway, I won't get into that today. And yet they put so many police offside. So now we have record amounts who are just quitting every month. Record amounts. Like I said, between people retiring because of that old age of 60, and then police who just had enough of being pushed around and treated like rubbish, record amounts leave every month. So they're losing police. They cannot live up to the promises they made. So, hey, this is what we do. Some more, I'm going to go down to the quotes attributed to the other clown, Katarina Carroll, the one who did the math. She says, this agreement is the biggest opportunity for internationally experienced officers to work in Queensland. The new labour agreement, it's funny, I always thought police weren't, they weren't supposed to be taking political sides. But I love the way she says, this is a quote, quote from her, the new labour agreement. She's just a Labour stooge. Goes beyond what has been offered by any other police organisation in Australia, allowing experienced officers, very important, this next couple of words, I'll go back, allowing experienced officers from any country the chance for the Queensland Police Service and bring their own unique experiences, knowledge and skills to our organisation. We didn't want the experience, the knowledge, the skills of the people we already had. Okay, so we just treated them like rubbish because our people don't matter. I hate that phrase now, our people matter, because it's just such a blatant lie. So we caused the problem. We treated our own people like rubbish. We made these outlandish claims. We did the math. We couldn't see the problem, couldn't see the issue. And now we come back with this ridiculous plan, and but it's all good because the taxpayer, they can foot the bill. It's not going to cost them anything because they're just a couple of clowns who don't pay for anything. But the taxpayer can foot the bill, and we can get over 500 people a year from overseas. Listen, so that's the document, okay? So that's what's happened. They're moving ahead with it. A while ago, I remember seeing posts coming up on social media. Now, I don't mind a good conspiracy theory. Love it. It's good entertainment. I think it's some of them are pretty out there. Okay. I cannot get behind the theory that the earth is flat. I can't get behind the theory that birds are actually not real and they're all actually just drones, surveillance drones. Can't get behind that theory. Yeah, the moon landing. I'm not behind it, but there's some great arguments for it. But this conspiracy theory, which came up a while ago, saying that Australia and countries will bring in police from the United Nations police, and that we've actually got United Nations on the ground in Australia ready to go. Now, I've never bought into that theory. I tell you what, but this announcement makes me think about what if that possibly is true. Now, I'm just wondering, the conspiracy about bringing in officers or bringing in the United Nations, bringing in the police, United Nations police, army, whatever, some kind of military, paramilitary force. Is this the beginning? Is this the legislation needed to bring it in? They need to start the process. They need to have their legislation in place so that they can cover their butts, so they can make it look like, yeah, we're doing everything legally. We're allowed to do this. It's like when you stood down, when I was stood down for the mandate, they put all this paperwork forward saying, yep, human rights say that we're not allowed to force a medical procedure upon anyone. That's what the human rights says, legislation says, and we stand by human rights. That's why you have to do an update, go through human rights legislation every year, make sure you understand it as a police officer. And then you turn the page and say, however, we've already covered our butts and we can force you to get this medical procedure because of this, this, and this. And that's what I think. What if this is what they're doing here? Hey, we cannot bring United Nations police, military, paramilitary, or whatever in. Legally, we can't. However, we actually did make this little change in legislation, and we started recruiting police, back in 2023, overseas police, and we did say it could come from any country. And so we still got a shortage, so why not just use United Nations? Could it be true? I'm still not convinced, but hey, crazy things as we've seen have happened. The main point of this video is, okay, clown number one, clown number two, Ryan and Carol. They caused the problem. They completely screwed it up. And now they've offered up this plan, this solution, which is mediocre. And then they want us, the taxpayer, to pay for it. They never have to answer for any of the issues that they cause. Like I said, it's a bit of a pandemic across the world with leadership at the moment. This is what happens when you have bad leadership. They cause the problem. They're allowed to stay in office, to stay in power. And then they say, hey, here's the solution. And look at us, we're flipping genius because we have the solution to this problem that we caused. And they always leave that part out. And that's what Ryan and Carol, they've done. They did the math. They're the ones that did the math. She told you they did the math. They went through it. They realized we made this promise. It's not going to work. Even though he's kind of twisted the scenario a bit, and he said, well, in another report, he said, well, it's all about police funding and the amount of money we're sending. That's what's actually happened here. That's how we've actually lived up to our promise. Some people might say that that's just, massaging the truth. It's just putting a spin. It's just spinning it. I personally, I grew up in that era where people would actually say, well, it's just lying. It's actually just lying. So he's just lying. They caused the problem. I want to know what you think. There's a lot of other smarter people out there than me. Have your say, have your vent. Tell me what you think. Tell everyone what you think. Please like and share this video so we get the message out there. These people need to be held responsible. The Labor government, and this isn't an anti-Labor thing. It's just that they caused the problem. You can't just keep going on and not be held accountable. If you screw something up, you need to be held accountable. And they're not being held accountable. So we need to get this message out there and hold them accountable for their royal screw up. And don't allow them just to keep going on and trying to shovel this stuff down our throat and say, look at this great solution that we've got, but forget about the fact that we caused the problem in the first place. Please let me know what you think. Like I said, I've been kind of shadow banned on YouTube, so please like and share if you can, and I want to know your opinion. Honestly, I do. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope.